Ah, Kim is here. Amazing.
Rob,
Buddy.
my man, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, when I swing, I put that fire to your chest. Talking ass, better wear a fucking vest.
That's so interesting, man. I have big respect for you, Matt, for being learned about this stuff. I like that.
Yeah, it's
Big
different,
ups
you
to
know.
you.
And you know, I listen. Okay, and I don't know. I haven't listened to anything you about atheism, but I think I think atheism, and this sounds typical of an apologist, but I think atheism has more challenges than Christianity does.
Well, that depends on what you define
Oh,
atheism
sure.
to be. So I'd like to know what you think atheism means.
Okay, so some atheists would say, okay, well, atheism is merely a lack of belief in God, right? And
Okay.
that's what they say. Oh, well, atheism doesn't mean
Sure.
anything. It's simply a lack of belief. Okay, but the challenge is, you know, people need to develop a worldview. Okay, like they need to develop a way of looking at the world that makes sense to them. Okay, so if somebody says, "Oh, I'm an atheist," okay, so my question would be, okay, well, how do they construe the world? Right? Like, what's their worldview? Like, well, what if they're an atheist? Then what is it then? What kind of system of knowledge do they have that they can help them interpret the world? See, that's the question. And I don't think many atheists. I think Christianity. This might sound offensive. Christianity is like a tree. And it's easy to attack Christianity from all different angles because we're vulnerable. You know, it's hard to defend the Bible. It's hard to defend specific Christian doctrines. Like it's hard. But the thing is, but if Christianity is the tree, atheism is like the moss. Atheism doesn't really have its own tree. It's parasitic on Christianity. That's my view.
Okay, let me see if I can get my camera to cooperate here.
Sure. I gotta get a drink.
Sure. Take your time.
Yeah. So Kim, we'll get this maybe away from Matt to get back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be right here. I'm gonna get my drink.
Okay, because Utopia Buster has asked some good questions in the comment section about challenging Matt's assertions about Job and other things being mythological.
He called me a moron for wanting to summon a demon. I think that's not very nice. Utopia Buster, you should be more nice, man. Let's be nice.
Me or him?
No, not you. Utopia Buster in the chat. No, you've been great. I like you.
Yeah, okay.
You're cool.
I like to be really honest.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing I think about Utopia Buster. I think he's a good guy, but I think he just needs to chill the F down.
Maybe. I'm willing to take your word for it.
I think, there's a lot of people in this world that when they get passionate about something, they get a little too aggressive, right? And I think Utopia Buster is one of those people that gets a little too aggressive and too excited. Just kind of like, whereas
Listen, I won't fault anyone for having passion. Definitely.
No, we're not. Right. But chill, just relax.
Yeah. So
I think
Rob,
I think he's not. I think he's passionate, but he has to learn some calm, learn some chill with his.
Yeah,
passion.
for sure. We all have something to work on.
Yeah. Oh, except for me, I'm perfect. I'm kidding.
Careful.
Oh, I thought you were gone the whole time. You don't need to prove that.
Could have fooled me, man.
Yeah,
Rob, you had a question for Matt.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, it was in regards to what Utopia Buster was saying. So, like, why do you think that Job and others are mythological? Like, what's your standard, and how, and what authority do you use to determine?
That is a good question. How do you determine what is mythological and what isn't in the Bible?
Okay, so I'm going to admit a certain intellectual humility here, and say I'm not a biblical scholar. Okay, like I don't know. I didn't look through the Bible to sit there and just trying to think, well, what does mythological literature look like? What is poetic literature like? What does literal literature look like? I'm aware of these sorts of questions, but I'm not the kind of scholar to give all concrete answers to every simple question. All I'm trying to say is I'm open if the scholarly consensus is that Job is mythological literature, I would probably just accept that consensus. And that's what I think the consensus is. That
then people would just say, then you're just a sheep.
I don't think I'm a sheep. I
No, but I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying there's people that would say that if you just go by consensus, because it's consensus. doesn't
Yeah, I
make
mean,
it
surely making up your own mind is important, right, Matt?
Yeah, but I don't have the time to do that. Like, okay, yeah, like I work every day, right? I
Sure.
don't have time to think about everything in the Bible. I can only think about
Nor
a
do I.
little bit of things, right?
Interesting.
So and I think the Christian view is that knowledge seeking is a collective activity. Like I'm supposed to rely on other people who are more qualified to me to answer these questions.
I do think that's moronic, Buster. But I don't think
I don't. I think it's a great idea.
I don't think Kem is a moron. I think he's being silly, but he doesn't think so.
I'm not being silly. I'm being dead serious.
I don't know.
I am dead serious.
We can go over the map with this.
So Matt, I guess my issue with what you're saying is that you're sort of it sounds like you're not relying on people, because I rely on people all the time to educate myself, right? I like to hear what other people have to say. I go to the experts and I hear their presentations on the evidence, and I listen to their points, and I take time to consider everything they present me. And then I look at competing points of view, and then I make up my own mind, right? I don't have to be a subject matter expert to learn about a subject.
Yeah.
How much learning do you do about the Bible just sort of casually as part of your normal day-to-day?
I know the biblical stories, right? Like I know the Bible. Like I know the Bible.
Sure.
Like I don't know. I don't really because it doesn't bother me if Job is mythological or literal. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I don't know. Like why would I study it if it's not something that's pressing? I'm not going to lose my faith either way, right? Like it's
right.
No, but that's not what we're really saying. We're not saying you're really going to lose your faith if you believe that Job is mythological or literal. But to say that Job is mythical, then you've made the claim, but now you've kind of shot yourself in the foot because you can't even back it up.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I'm not saying it is. I'm pretty sure it's mythological, and I'm saying that because a friend of mine who lives in Buffalo, across the border, who's a New Testament. Well, she's a New Testament professor, but she also knows about the Old Testament. Okay. She thinks it's mythological, and I just trust her. Like I don't know, she knows about biblical scholarship more than me, so I don't know. I just accept it. I accept.
Matt, have you read?
You know a biblical scholar.
Yeah, I do know a biblical scholar.
That's a really cool resource.
She's not a Christian either, so figure that out.
Huh. And within the minority of biblical scholars, because most of them are Christian.
Well, I would disagree with that. So,
there's Barterman.
A lot of
Barterman was a Christian when he did all his research.
So in Christianity, so in North America, there's the seminaries are separate from the university.
Right.
So when biblical scholarship is going on at a university, it's usually in an anthropology department, which is like
or in a divinities.
It's secular. It's not religious. It's only
it's secular because it's in academia, but the individuals carrying out the research, the majority of them just like statistically are Christian.
I question that. I don't know the stats, but I don't think a lot of biblical scholars, I don't know. I guess it'd be 50-50. I don't know the stats, but I'm not surprised if secular people are interested in reading Shakespeare. Secular people are interested in reading the Bible.
Plenty of religious people are interested in the Bible as well.
Yeah,
and many of them are interested in the history.
So they're studying it from different philosophical assumptions.
Right.
So
or rather, with no philosophical assumptions. We're just going to go where the evidence takes us, right?
Well, I think that's a philosophical assumption.
What do you mean?
The question of what constitutes evidence.
Where the evidence
takes what is acceptable? What is evidence?
Scientific
what is acceptable evidence?
Hold on.
I would disagree with that.
So acceptable evidence of what?
Okay, let me give you an illustration to illustrate my point. Okay. So I'm assuming that the only appropriate evidence, your view would be it has to be scientific, right?
I guess it has to be empirical, right?
Okay,
that's all I require.
When I hear empirical, I think the scientific method. Okay, so my mom loves me. Okay. Now my question is, okay, so how do I prove that? If I was going to prove my mom loves me in a scientific or empirical way, I have to defined love, okay, as a fluctuation of hormones in her body, okay, and I have
Or
to
you
measure
could define it as an emotional experience.
But
this is
you
the
could
thing.
demonstrate. She could demonstrate it, though, Matt.
Okay, but that's no longer empirical. Like that's when I think of empirical evidence, I think you're going through the scientific process. You're defining your terms. What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Well, you have to define it in a way that's measurable. Love is hormones fluctuating in the body, okay? And then you measure those hormones, and when I'm around her, these hormones go up and down, and then we go, oh, she loves me. Okay? Now the question is, can I know she loves me without going through the scientific method? Right? That's the question. And yes, I can. By having a relationship with her. So this is
not really, because all you're proving there is that you have a relationship, right? You can't prove what's in her head. I think this is a bad example. I think
it's a great example.
For like the historicity of a text, I think evidence would be like manuscripts. Are there archaeological finds, like artifacts? If we want to trace a document back in history, we trace it down the copy line.
Okay, right? So let's take those examples, okay? So I would, so science, by definition, okay, excludes the possibility of the divine. Science can't prove God or disprove God.
That's not true.
Science as method. Sorry?
The scientific method would rule out God, but science itself wouldn't.
Okay, so clarification. The scientific method doesn't rule anything out until it's completed, right? And the scientific method really doesn't rule things out more than it helps you confirm or reject a hypothesis, a specific hypothesis. Right?
No, the scientific method does rule out question of the divine. The scientific method is.
I mean, it depends, I guess, on how you. My camera just is refusing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, guys. So, I mean, I guess it depends on what you define as the divine.
Well, it's not something that's in our It's not in the natural world around us. I can't see God. I can't feel God. Unless, say maybe Jesus Christ, but that's a separate, like the incarnation is separate.
Sure.
Right? I
mean, do you believe that God exists, like factually, like within the confines of our universe? Do you think God is?
Well, God is within and without the universe, right? So God.
Okay, but does he exist within the universe? Is he like a physical?
Within and without. So God is both immanent and transcendent.
Okay, well, I don't. Nothing that exists outside the universe is anything that I can actually like deal with, right? So I can just. We don't need to worry about that. Right. Do you believe that God exists like physically?
Well, God's not physical, so no, I don't believe.
So then, in what context does he exist then? Let's define existence here.
Okay, so define existence is like the biggest philosophical question, right? So what is existence? Whatever it is, right?
No. I mean, define the nature of your God's existence is what I'm saying. In what way does he exist?
Okay, so to get very metaphysical here, God is the ground of all being. So God.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. Another way to put it, Aristotelian way. So God is the cause of everything. So there's different levels. Okay, so on Aristotelian philosophy, there's different levels of causation. Okay, so the grass grows. Why does the grass grow? Okay, it grows because there's water, there's soil, there's but God also makes the grass grow. So it's possible for the grass to grow because of all the scientific reasons. But it's also possible simultaneously for God to be the first cause of all these causal relations. Right?
Can God's portion of the causation be isolated? Could you produce a blade of grass that only grows because God wants it to grow?
So God is the ground for the entire process. You can't separate the two. So my evidence for God.
So at what point does God end and everything else begin?
So I think I'm trying to articulate, what the ancient philosophers, the ancient theologians, how they thought about God.
I want to know what you think about God, man.
Well,
I don't care what Aristotle thought about God.
So God is the ground of all being.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So
what does that mean? Because I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, another way to say it. So God is the condition for the possibility of everything that is. Or God is the necessary being that supports all contingent beings. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Hold on. I like that one. Where does the necessary being end and the contingent being begin? That's where I'd like to start.
The necessary being doesn't end because it's necessary.
Well, I mean, where is the differentiating point? Where can I cut these two apart?
So
where I have contingent being and necessary being, because I can't study both of them at the same time. I have to isolate the thing that I'm trying to study.
That's a challenge. Like, okay, so we can't talk about the ground of all existence as if it's like another being. Like, the ground of existence is not like this cup.
Sure.
Okay, God is not like this cup. God is the condition for the possibility of this cup, right? So I can't prove God like I can prove this. God is what makes the
condition for the possibility of the cup.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I know it's hard for me to explain.
Yeah.
But, like, but this is what Christians are trying to argue.
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like God and everything else are kind of inseparable and therefore not really distinguishable from each other.
Yeah. So here's
okay. Well, if they're not distinguishable for each other, there's no reason to make the distinction. You are God.
Well, okay.
And God is you.
Okay, this is going to be even sound more confusing.
Okay.
And this is where I have, like, I like Eastern Orthodoxy because there's mystical, like, I like the occult because I am more mystical. Like, you know, like, okay. Yeah, like, yeah. So I'm open to the mystery. Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't have to know how it works to know that it does work. Okay, but I think that's.
How do you know that it works?
I don't know how it works.
No. How do you know that it works?
Because it's working.
How do you know that?
Because this is here. This.
How do you know that?
Well, Well, it's here.
How do you know that? No, I'm serious.
Because I see it.
Okay. Well, your eyes produce electrical signals that just go to your brain. Those electrical signals can be replicated artificially. How do you know that you're actually seeing the cup?
Okay, here's another challenge I have with atheism.
Okay.
Is that if you're an atheist, in a certain sense, you never really know if you're living in a matrix.
Correct.
So you never know. Like, you never really know.
Correct.
Okay, but if you're a Christian, there is a sense in which, you know, if you believe that God is all loving, you also kind of believe that God wants you to know the truth about the world.
I would hope so.
So as a Christian, I could be, even though if I was an atheist, I can doubt that this cup exists.
Yes.
Okay, but as a Christian, I believe in a loving God who wants to reveal himself to us and the truth around us. Right? So
sure.
So as a Christian, I could be confident, and this does, and it does, you know, a lot of Christians are scared to talk about faith, ironically. I think faith is essential. Like, I have to believe in God for me to really believe that this.
Why?
Because I have to be to put it in Elvin Plantinga's sort of way, I have to have a reason to believe that my perceptions of reality allows me to understand the truth about the world. Maybe not perfectly.
Why? Why do you have to have that assumption?
For me to be confident in my perceptions of reality.
Why do you have to be confident in your perception of reality?
I don't know, for us to have any kind of conversation about the truth about the world.
Why?
Well, why not?
Is it necessary?
Listen, so we can keep asking why. And the thing is, okay.
Well, it's just my problem is that you're presupposing the necessity of things that you haven't demonstrated the necessity for. None of these presuppositions are necessary for you to live your life.
Okay, well, that's true. But if we want to have a discussion about the nature of reality, we have to at least believe that the nature of reality is accessible to us. right?
No,
So,
we just have to demonstrate that it's accessible to us. We don't have to believe anything.
well, you do have to believe.
No, you don't.
You do have to believe. Okay, well, knowledge is defined traditionally as justified true belief. I don't have knowledge if I don't also believe it. I don't know anything about this cup if I don't also believe that it's there and it's knowable.
Okay, but does my lack of belief in your cup make it any less accessible for me to verify the existence of the cup?
No, because
so then the ability exists without the need for the belief. So you don't have to believe that the cup is real to prove that the cup is real.
You have to believe the cup is real to prove that.
You just have to study the cup. That's all you have to do is investigate the nature of the cup.
But when we're talking about truth claims, where we're talking about beliefs, it's or any something is true or false. It's always in the context of whether or not you believe it's true or false.
I don't know that individual belief matters as much as independent verification.
Okay, well, I think I disagree with that. And the verification method, is logical positivism, which is a tradition in philosophy that nobody accepts, like since the 60s.
I wonder why.
Well, because logical positivism is self-defeating. Okay, it says all truth claims must be verifiable, but its own truth claims can't be verified. It's a dogmatic assumption.
So if it's not, it's been abandoned by philosophy.
I think,
and it's self-defeating. So why do you choose this particular branch of philosophy? Why do you adopt this position?
No. Your view is self-defeating.
What is my view?
Verificationism.
Evidentialism, imperialism.
It's all
empiricism. Sorry, imperialism. I'm not an imperialist. Empiricism. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I think that if you make a claim, you should have to provide evidence, and that's it.
Okay. So my evidence,
okay,
for God's existence is it's the same. It's the classical arguments. It's
sure.
The kind of argument about this cup is all the cosmological argument. Why is this here and otherwise? Like, this is a variation of the cosmological argument. So what I'm saying is just traditional Christian argument.
But the cosmological argument presupposes the necessity for an initial cause, which I do not make.
Okay,
I don't make that assumption.
Okay, this is the thing.
Nor do I need to, for that matter.
Well, okay, if you want to be intellectually honest, you do need to.
Why is that?
Okay, because intellectuality itself entails that there's an explanation for everything.
Sure.
To say that everything is contingent with no necessity is to say that there's no real reason for contingency. It's not contingent on anything, and that doesn't make sense. So there has to be a necessity. And
no, there doesn't.
Well,
no, there doesn't. I mean,
if you believe in the principle, if you believe that everything needs an explanation,
I don't believe that.
Well, then
not everything needs an explanation, but everything does have an explanation. Just because that explanation is inaccessible to me doesn't mean that explanation doesn't exist.
Okay, so my girlfriend is calling me.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to let you guys go. But
all right.
Hey, I will follow your channel if you ever.
For sure, bro. Anytime you want to talk, hit me up. Follow me on Twitter. All my socials are they should be somewhere. It's at Kemregik, KEMREGIK.
Okay, so hold on. At
KEMREGIK on Twitter, and my YouTube channel is Tear Your Hair Out, and hair is spelled like the animal.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, because he finds me infuriating.
In a good way, Rob. In a good way. Hair like the animal. HARE. Tear Your Hair Out. It's a new channel. All I have right now is highlights of me and Rob's streams.
Tear Your Hair Out.
Yep.
5 subscribers.
Yep. It's a very new channel. I made it the other day.
Yeah. No, this is interesting. I like these kind of comments. Like, I don't know. I just like to be honest, and I completely understand that a lot of what I'm saying sounds very convoluted, and to me, it is. You know, because these are very complicated questions.
They are for sure.
So,
and they're very important questions. I would say it's important that we're having this conversation. So I appreciate you coming on and having that conversation with us.
All right, I gotta go. So thanks a lot, guys.
Take it easy, brother.
Okay.
Have a good one. See you, man.
Bye.